Okay, America was is underlined to be a problem over and over again, and keeps getting underlined that way. A problem for Americans and a problem for the world. Certainly, there's a big problem with the idea of America's brainwashed idea of socialism, and yet there's condoning of making tipping socialized, almost like it's obligation. Well, it certainly is. It's an obligation. You need to round off people's wages, even if you're the customer. But what about the employee? Sorry, the employer. And it's so greedy they're not paying enough for the employee. They're just using it the in tipping as an excuse to say no. If you got disposable income, you pay that wage. That's socialized payment. It's socialized payment because as Americans escape the cult of America, and they come. I've seen some come to the UK a heck of a lot more than the last 10 years. Definitely, obviously, there's reasons why. The reasons are very clear. I was talking to one about the tipping and said, no, we tip here out of the reasons of being happy for the service, not out of an obligation that we have to tip. That's not what it's tipping's. That's not what tipping means, or what it actually is. The, over the rest of the world, it isn't. So you got some disposable money, um, and you're very happy with a service in a restaurant or something. You might put a few coins in a dish, regardless of how much the bill was. Regardless, it's not related to how much the bill was. It's not related to obligation to round off people's wages. It's not related to an obligation that you have to tip. It's related to, oh, I'm happy with their service. I think I help them out. At the end of the year, a lot of small businesses use that out of a jar to have a nice Christmas do, perhaps a works do, or perhaps they would be happy enough to have each individual staff have a share of it. Sometimes it just goes to charity anyway. That's what happens with tipping across the rest of the globe. It's just one more underlining of America, how disgusting it is, and how broken the use of monetization is, deliberately so, to confuse people so they can keep making money out of you. So you keep giving and giving until you got nothing left. Um, One of the confusions, certainly something else that doesn't happen across Europe, is something. If something's certainly, if you came to the UK, you will see things in shops priced a particular price. You get to the till and you pay exactly that price that it's stamped at. In America, you get to the tills and then you pay the extra. You pay the price extra on top because there's tax. Well, the tax is included in the price anyway, so you can work things out more properly, so you can able to watch your money better. One of the bigger strongholds of controlling this was when the banks got involved with loans, credit cards, and then who jumped on that even more was a corporative interest of different deals here and there. The companies were selling things that got involved in banking as well. That happened in the UK. It's like supermarkets now getting into banking and even property management. And it's just gross. Every corporation wants to own everything rather than hold back and give leeway for other people to take some territory. This is basic monopoly, right? But many Americans look disgusted when there's no tipping being done in the UK. This is because the whole mindset's different. If you're disgusted, you don't get it. You don't understand. I mean, we don't want to be part of a degraded, disgusting culture that penalizes people in that way that they are. You have to, if you're paying for something in a restaurant, you could be relatively poor yourself, and that doesn't mean you got the obligation to pay. But that's a socialized payment system, and there's America is built on lies from the get go, and one of the lies is that socialism is communism. So we don't do communism because it's socialism, but it's not. Healthcare being socialised in the UK, well, the NHS has issues, but it works in a way that you get free healthcare, relatively free. Of course, it's paid for via taxation. You're being taxed in a way that you pay for something, and then you pay. You learn what the extra tax is on it by the time you get to the till point or payment point in shops. Um, we pay tax right out. It's all involved in the price, and we pay tax out anyway via our wage that we already earn towards national insurance. That is the healthcare system, the NHS, National Health Service. And that comes back round in services that are offered free because everyone else has paid their little bit. All right. But prices of things are not going to go down in America, especially. And employees, especially the more corrupt ones, employers, the more corrupt ones, have this lazy cop out excuse to say, that's all right, we pay less than whatever because you make it up on tips anyway. That's gross. Everything about every aspect of America is designed this way. It's greedy, it's disgusting, it's putrid. But again, if you're an American, you come over to the UK and you get upset about, oh, nobody tips anyone, and find that disgusting. It's not the same reasons why we tip. We don't tip out of an obligation. Nobody's obligated to tip. If it's subjective, individually subjective, not objective. It's not an objective part of culture in the UK. It's a subjective thing. If I was pretty flush and I got served very amicably and the meal was great and all that, I might leave some money in a dish because I was pleased with the service. Americans gotta feel like they're obligated to whether they're pleased with service or not. That, yeah, no thanks. I don't want no part of that. I'd just like to make that very clear. It's it's one more variable as to why America's so broken. I mean, I could talk forever and a day why it's so broken, so good at every American really when they see things in a comparative way. But it's all based on the lies so that greedy corporate interests can keep brainwashing Americans in order to keep you as a obedient, well-behaved slave. You live on a whole plantation. It's an open prison. And now there's the Gestapo going around ICE killing people. So, this has been coming for decades. It is something that all of the ingredients equals this. You don't get here without all of the variables creating this. Donald Trump is a product of all of those ills of America. Now, once he's out the way, you still don't have any fix because he is a product of America. Think about it. How many other people like him are products of America because of all these ills of America? People are products of their environment. This is why Putin's not assassinated, because there would be another Putin behind. And who condones Trump? Because they want fascism. They want an oligarchy where it has all the power because they're already in the power cult and group anyway, so they're looking after their own interest. What happens with that is, they're doing it to protect themselves because they know and see how fucked they're going to be if they're on the outside of that group, that cult. It's a cult that actually knows it's a cult but is happy to be in it. Probably because those that are in it don't have any morals, because you wouldn't be happy to be in it. Otherwise, you would want all these people to be suffering, right? Via ICE, the ICE Gestapo police. Let's pretend to be a protective police system when really it's a terrorist group. That's what it is. It's Trump's little terrorist group to control everything. Trump's a control freak in order to drive a fantasy that doesn't work. Because it's fantasy, it doesn't work inside of reality. But again, I felt like it's worth talking about that as a tipping system. Don't take the piss. When you're disgusted or judgmental of how tipping works over the rest of the world, it's highly disrespectful because how tipping works in America is looked up on as a product of one of many of America's ills, and it is utterly gross. It's disgusting. There's no way we would be enslaved or willfully into that kind of system. If we do end up in that system, it would just be, people like myself would say, back in the day, tipping wasn't an obligation, because it was, you're happy, you tip. And even you're happy anyway, perhaps you don't because times are hard anyway and you can't afford to. Right? Sure, if everybody gave more than they took, we'd all have so much more. Not just money, but it would be just belongings, because one person's trash is another person's treasure. But that's not the world we live in, because there's too many greedy people out there anyway that poison everything because they want to control everything, just like Trump. And, it's just America talks too much, though, and does very little. That is another reason why you end up with this product called Donald Trump, this orange freak that really should be given the death penalty. I can say that as a British citizen across the pond. People in America are scared to say things like that because, it is what it is. They were scared to say things like that. But I'm nobody in this grand scheme of things. Of course, Trump backed down from taking Iceland. Sorry, Greenland. Greenland. I get my brain goes Iceland, Greenland, because you got Greenland covered of ice and Iceland looks very green. You see actual footage of each one. Yeah. But underneath all that ice is a lot of resources that can be used. However, he backed down because NATO said no. and NATO and Europe, there's again no deals, and he backed off with, from what we hear, is a aspect of what we hear is like claiming to be changing things for the promise of future deals, which means in the future, right? It means there was no deal. First 100 days, I had 100 deals. It was a great promise of Trump. Of course, no president has ever done that. You don't do 100 deals in 100 days. It's fantasy driven, foolish individual who's senile, he's falling asleep in interviews, and it's it's mind blowing. And I wonder if any Americans really imagined this being a possibility 10 years ago. I mean, some of the absurdity, despite myself going on about America long before, actually, although you see a lot more of it, long before Trump was even president during his first term, I said it's just going to fail. The bubble's going to burst, and it's going to affect everything, everywhere. Excuse me, don't want to cough down on the microphone too hard there. Um, yeah, and as I got older, I realizing just how much brokenness there's, things I didn't expect in my younger days, more naive and younger, and just not as learned. Um, but now, I see things now thinking, wow, worse than I imagined back then. As I go along, it's beginning to educate people like myself, and many people again educated on how to predict the downfall of America. Decades down the line, it's decades, hundreds of years actually down the line. You will never ever be trusted. And something might happen here and there that might gain a tiny bit of trust here or there, but you're screwed. You're done. But the damage has caused some other aspects in other countries to be screwed and done. That's nasty. And this whole tariff war. This is why he kept going on about the taxation there. Tariff, however you want to sound the vowel, is because he sees it as a weapon to blackmail countries to obey. But he's learning. Possibly he might learn, but it's a slim chance. That's it's not the ideal weapon for him that he thought it was. He's a bully, and when people stand up to bullies, what happens? The bully reveals himself as a coward, and they back down. Thanks for listening. Take care, and I look forward to doing another video soon. Cheers, bye.